Oh, here we go. We've got, we are all over the place. We've got Kansas, we've got Arizona, we've got Tulsa, we've got Austin, Honolulu, Hawaii. You may win for the farthest so far, looks like. Fantastic. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Mind doing this webinar from Maui? That'd be okay with me.
I know, right?
I just came from Syracuse, New York, and now I'm in Maryland, and it is chilly.
A little bit of a difference. And so Chicago may be the coldest. I don't know. They just popped up. So, well, thank you all once again for being here. We really appreciate it. You are on TMC Connect, and we have a great show for you today. So today we've got Dave Savage, who's CEO of Mortgage Coach, along with James Duncan, who is Director of Marketing, and Gracie Morrow, who is one of the top branch managers, both of Thrive Mortgage. These folks are lender members and preferred partner with the Mortgage Collaborative, and we really appreciate everything that they do for us and all the expertise that they bring to our sessions. Want to let you know that you have come into the session on mute, but we do want this to be interactive and engaging. So we do know that the majority of you know where the chat is, because now we know how long you've been in the business and where you're from. So please use that chat to ask questions, and we will take those questions as we go. Today, the topic is how to turn your realtor relationship into your best leads for the spring home buying season. So look forward to the conversation. Thank you so very much to everyone for being here. And Dave, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, thank you very much for organizing this, putting this stage together in this audience. I am Dave Savage, the CEO of Mortgage Coach. Nothing I love more than interviewing professionals, both in the C-suite. So it's awesome to have James Duncan here, representing Head of Marketing for Thrive. So welcome, James.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate you hosting this and asking us to be a part of it.
Yeah, and then I think what makes this unique and special, it's not often that we get, in the same experience, we have an executive and we also have a top producing loan officer. So Gracie, welcome to this stage, and we're looking forward to hearing your side of the things.
Thanks, Dave. We're glad to be here.
Good. So guys, I want to set the stage, and I want to make this as much a mastermind as you guys are willing to make it. So as you have questions, put those in chat. As you get a takeaway, something that you just think is a quote you want to remember, put that in chat too, because it will be valuable for everyone to see what you think is a takeaway from the conversation. We are at a unique time in the marketplace. It is February 15th of 2022. And there's one thing that I am super confident about. I've been doing mortgages. Well, I did mortgages once upon a time and I was a top producer, but today I'm an executive of Mortgage Coach. And I'm also in Maryland representing the Sales Boomerang crew, no borrower left behind. But today it's about no realtor left behind. It's how can we create more value for realtors? How can we help them sell more homes? How can we make their job easier? Let's face it, it's been a wild couple weeks. Since this year has started, when I talk to leaders in the business, I'm hearing, how much have rates gone up? And I've heard as low as they've gone up an entire percentage point, and I've heard they've gone up 1.5%. So by the way, that would be a question, where you work and from your perspective, how much have rates gone up this year from the beginning? And then that's the other thing, we're selling less homes. So I'm hearing a range of the business is down anywhere from 20 to 25%, down to 40%. And these are from some of the most elite companies and loan officers in America. Business is down. So we are seeing a shift. And one thing I think we can all align on, and why you're on this call, is how can we win with realtors? How can we get more value from them? Another thing that I've heard, I just did an interview earlier today with a top loan officer who said it's never been easier to get conversations with realtors, to recruit realtors. So we're going to talk about some strategies to help sell more homes. And then we're also going to talk about some strategies to actually recruit some new real estate agents. So if you're on this call, some of you are executives and you lead a team of loan officers, or you indirectly support loan officers within your role at the company. And then some of you are top producing loan officers. We're going to try to deliver value that connects with both of you. So James, let's start with you. You have institutionalized advice. One of the reasons why, when we did this at Mortgage Coach, I asked you to be on it because you've got great adoption of Mortgage Coach at Thrive. And you've done a great job of institutionalizing advice over there. So why don't you share your perspectives on the market and then talk about how you support loan officers when it comes to winning with agents?
Well, as far as my perspective on the market, we've seen just an unending supply of articles that are being posted through various national news media that are saying, well, refis are dead, refis are over, those opportunities are done. And we don't necessarily agree with that, because if you are smart about how you go about building your business, and if you truly are invested in having clients for life, then you're using platforms like Mortgage Coach and like so many, and Sales Boomerang where you're at, and so many other platforms that are available out there that really help you stay in tune with not only market shifts, but also consumer sentiment. And that is one thing that is really critical in leveraging the technology that's available to you to enhance your consumer's experience and to truly make those clients for life. Now, obviously, refis don't have a lot to do with, or most people don't think that refis have a lot to do with realtor relationships, but they absolutely do. I mean, how many times have you had a client who maybe you weren't their original purchase lender, but you get them on the refi, and you ask them, and you go back and ask them who their realtor was for the purchase. Well, there's an immediate way to get a lot of great connections, especially if they had a great experience. You've got some a built-in warm referral or warm conversation to have with that realtor that you may not have had a relationship with either. So there are ways for you to leverage refi business to generate realtor connections. And as far as the executives that are on this call, one of the key things there's three key things, in my opinion, that you need to be doing if you have adopted the Mortgage Coach platform. Number one is you have to have at least one or two key people on your team that are not necessarily originators. They can be, but it'd be better if you have one or two people on your team that know Mortgage Coach backwards and forwards, know how to explain it, know how the loan officer is going to use it, and leverage them to train your teams on how to become more proficient at Mortgage Coach. Thrive is blessed to have 3 of those people that know how to do it and can coach our loan officers on the real advanced practices and help them set up templates, help them use all those different things. Number 2, one of the key things that you need to do is you need to be tracking the usage. Mortgage Coach does a great job of communicating with us on a monthly basis about our usage reports, who's logging in, who isn't, how many total cost analyses have been created versus how many views do those loan officers have of the reports that they've created. And being able to track those metrics and measure those on a consistent basis helps you to identify where there might be coaching opportunities. And that's the third, find those coaching opportunities. Talk to your people about how they're using the tools that either they're paying for or the company is paying for. And if there's places where they're falling short, give them the strategies that they need, give them the coaching that they need in order to take those strategy or to take those platforms and really squeeze every ounce of juice that they can out of those platforms. Because there's tons of technology out there, but if it just sits on a shelf, so to speak, then it's really not benefiting you at any level. And you're kind of wasting your money. So in order to get the most bang for your buck, to get the biggest ROI out of using these tools, those are really my key 3 things that we've really focused on at Thrive.
So guys, I interview a lot of executives, and whether it's a CRM, whether it's a Mortgage Coach, whatever the tool is, just summarizing, number 1, make sure you have mentors and ambassadors, which are actual loan officers that are power users. And at Mortgage Coach, we think like 1 to 2 of those for every 100 loan officers. So if you're a 100 loan officer company and you've got Mortgage Coach, you need to have 1 or 2, we call them black belts. So someone who's done over 300 TCAs. If you're a 1,000-person company, that means you need to get 30 of those. You got to measure it and track it. And I do recommend celebrating whoever is using your tech the best every 30 days, and then have a coaching area. So, well, let's do this. Let's get into some strategies, to win with realtors right now. So Gracie is a top producing branch manager. She's also a black belt at Mortgage Coach. Actually, she's a grandmaster. She's done over 1,000 total cost analysis. Gracie, why don't you talk about what are the top things that you're doing that your realtors are loving or that you think is giving value? And let's just start with your first one. We've got another 50 minutes here. So let's think of it as like you've got 5 chapters to this conversation. What would be the first thing that you're doing?
Well, I would just say, like, we know it's a really hard job to be in the real estate in this type of market. Most realtors are naturally very good with building relationships and they know how to win trust from their clients. But in this type of market, realtor who knows how to think outside the box and who understand how to leverage their lender relationships, realtors are willing to make a mind switch of being part of the real estate wealth building team is going to win the most business. So I think, Dave, as you mentioned so many times on the interviews, that we want to be the center of the real estate wealth building team. And the TCA platform, the Mortgage Coach platform, really provides that for us. So it gives the realtor really more tangible benefit that they can provide back to their buyers and sellers and show the hardcore proof. So I think that's what we can leverage the Mortgage Coach community or the platform to really deliver that service to them.
Now, I know when you and I were having the prep call, you talked a lot about this, call it perfect pre-approval, all-in-one
The all-in-one pre-approval.
Yeah, and that is a common theme, guys. The best loan officers, they see themselves as an extension of the realtor sales process, and they can actually help improve conversion for realtors, and they can also help create urgency for consumers. So the things I'm hearing the most, and I'd like to get either validation or have you add on to it, Gracie, is I'm hearing that, hey, there's a lot of consumers that between rates going up and values are going up, they're like, whoa, I'm on the fence. Should I buy now? What are you saying to consumers that, again, you got a referral from an agent and they're either on the fence or they're just not clear? How are you providing clarity and how are you creating value so that you're getting more referrals from agents?
I think the best way to provide value is something that you can create a tangible presentation or information for realtor to pass on to their agent, because not their agent, but their clients, because oftentimes when the loan officer is talking with the client, we're having that one-on-one call. And when a realtor is talking with a client, they're having a private meeting. And the Mortgage Coach really provides a platform where we can create a presentation and make everything very digestible, share with the real estate agent, share with the client, and then we are all on the same page. And then the platform, the numbers and the savings, the cost of waiting, everything is very understandable. You don't really need further explanation.
So it's about presentation. And by the way, Russ Lee, thank you for your question. I'll answer that in the second half of the call. I'll get into some details on how to, learn some of these things. Let's go through a presentation that you would do, and I'll let you pick the presentation, but I think there could be a lot of takeaways. Let's say you got a referral from a home buyer. Let's see how you would deliver numbers and presentations to a consumer in a way that's unique and in a way that's valuable. And then I do want to get to rate shopping before this is over. So also be thinking about that. Like, what are you doing to either reduce rate shopping or, win when you have a grinder and a rate shopper? But let's start with your perfect realtor presentation.
Can I share my screen?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Remember, audience, if you've got questions, put it in chat.
Okay, can you guys see my screen okay?
We can.
All right, so I'm gonna go to the presentation mode right here. What we're experiencing in this market is when a client comes to us, they do have a lot of mixed information. They wanna know how much they can qualify for first of all, based on their application. They also wanna know what is their maximum buying power. We're in the Dallas market. We know there's a lot of overbidding strategy that you really have to bid. I want to say last weekend, a few contracts we got accepted, they all bid 20% over asking. So if you're looking to buy a $500,000 house, you have to bid close to $600,000 just to win that contract. And then a lot of people, like you said, Dave, they are on the fence because they feel like they're in the home, they're comfortable, they don't have to move. So what we came up with here, which is a very efficient way to talk about all scenarios. That's what we call it, the all-in-one pre-approval experience. So when we use Mortgage Coach, we want to give them the option of why they came to us, which is the purchase price requested on the application. The second one is based on the buyer's income, down payment, credit situation, what is the maximum buying power they have? So in case they do see a house that's maybe 100,000 over their budget, they don't have to come back to us, or they don't have to go to the real estate agent and confirm if they could qualify for that. The number 3 is the appraisal gap protection. This is something we started doing the last year, which is really popular, very helpful to reduce, in my opinion, a lot of fear, a lot of stress on both sides, not just the real estate agent, but also the buyer. Because in order for the real estate agent to do the best they can to be competitive, we as a lender has to protect that, baseline. This is what we're able here to protect you for. So go for it. We're always that quarterback, right? And then the last option here is waiting for 6 months.
Hey, real quick, Gracie, I want to make sure everyone gets a little extra experience here. So guys, I have put a link in chat where what Gracie is going over right now, you can click on that and actually see it for yourself. And then Gracie, go to the top of your screen real quick. And I'm going to have you go to the very top of your screen, guys. So click on that link right now that I put in chat. And then let's see, Gracie, let me go back to, now start going through the presentation and click on it a little bit as you go so that they can follow along and they can see how it's highlighting.
Okay, so just for someone that's not very familiar with Mortgage Coach, we normally do, if someone is not currently in the house, we want to show what they're paying on rent, and we can give them up to 4 or 5 different options, and that's what I did here. The first option would be the purchase price per their loan application. The second option is based on our pre-approval review, what we think the maximum purchase price could be for this buyer. The number 3 is if they do have to overbid 50,000, I just normally put 10% overbid. So that's why I came out with 600,000. And then the last option is the waiting for 6 months. So as you see, if they will wait for 6 months, most likely the purchase price will go up, the interest rate will go up. What I like about Mortgage Coach is you really see everything on one page, is side by side. And the consumers, buyers, realtors, whoever really want to understand their financial options, all love this comparison.
And click on one of those numbers as you show it, like
sure.
Click on the actual, use the highlight feature.
Highlighter, yes, here we go. So if they want to dive into a little bit more about their payment breakdown, their closing cost, then there's a lot of option for them to look around. So for example, the reason we want to talk about all 4 options is we want to prepare all scenarios, all situations where we know they're most likely going to run into in that moment of making an offer. So first option, you got cash to close, total monthly payment, and they can see if I were to go 100,000 on purchase price, how will my monthly payment change? If my appraisal doesn't come in 100% in value, we're 50,000 short with using appraisal gap protection, what will my monthly payment be? The last option is when your purchase price go up by 25,000 and your interest rate currently is 3.875, maybe in 6 months will jump to 4.5. How would that change my monthly payment?
Love it. Anything else you want to show on this? People are asking what is the appraisal gap, and in the Mortgage Coach community, we talk about that so much. Could you just describe it in your words, what an appraisal gap, is to you?
It's a lifesaver.
Right?
I have used appraisal gap protection so many times last year. I really don't know if you're in the mortgage industry, if you're in the very competitive housing market without having the appraisal gap protection, how would you be able to really encourage your buyer and give the confidence to them that they can, afford to place a overbidding contract? So in a sense, the appraisal gap insurance, we're placing an upfront mortgage insurance to bridge the gap. So you can see, and this is what I like about Mortgage Coach. You can really tap into different sections. It will give you exactly how your loan officers structure your loan. So for example, if the purchase price is $550,000 and we know we have to bid $50,000 over, and then we will do a minimum down payment of 5%. So 5% of 550,000 will be 77,500. But the smart part about this is when you go to the itemized breakdown, you can see that we have placed, there's an upfront mortgage insurance in the closing tab right here. So you see that there's, I have to see where the upfront mortgage insurance is, somewhere here. And another benefit of the placing an upfront mortgage insurance to bridge the appraisal gap is there's no monthly PMI anymore, and your client will be able to get more affordable. So they have more confidence to place a higher value over asking, and they don't have to bring the entire appraisal difference to close, which saves them a lot of cash to close.
Okay, perfect. So anything else you want to show on this particular strategy before we bring James back on?
I would just say that if you're not doing this, this will save you a ton of time. And also the most important thing is with preparing this presentation, not only you're sharing with your client, you're also sharing with real estate agents. So when they're making an offer, they know exactly what you have explained to your client, and they know how to prepare the strongest offer, because everyone only had one shot. That's why we call it own one pre-approval.
Beautiful. Well, stop sharing your screen real quick. I'm going to do my debrief on this, and then James, I'm going to bring you on. I've got a few questions for you. If you could stop sharing your screen real quick so I can share mine. And I'll tell you when I have it. Do you see it there, Gracie?
Yeah, I'm not sharing anymore.
Yeah, you are. If you
I am?
could.
Okay, 1 second.
I'll tell you when it's down.
Here you go.
All right. So I do want to show a couple of resources for folks who asked, how to get up to speed with Mortgage Coach. So first of all, we've got a section called Top Producer Insights. So if you go over to resources, Top Producer Insights, and these are some of our great interviews. And the cool thing about these, and I put in, like, there's an appraisal gap video right here, and there's also a link to a TCA right here. So what you're looking at on this page are some of the best examples where it's a really concise sales training video with a very concise presentation. I'll share, if you're new to Mortgage Coach, towards the end of the call, but I just wanted to throw that out there. I also did put a link in chat. So James, what Gracie just showed was a great best practice presentation on how a loan officer can be, delivering this great experience from a realtor referral. So they are more referable, they are more valuable. Talk about, from a C-suite perspective, on how would you take an idea like this or a strategy like this and to get more of your loan officers doing it? Like, how do you go from, oh, there's someone killing it, they're doing exactly what I want everybody else to do. Now, how do we take that one idea or that one tactic and institutionalize it with your organization?
Well, the first thing I'd do is bribe Gracie into coaching a whole bunch of people that are in close proximity to her and say, hey, teach me how to do this. But I mean, realistically, it's not that difficult to do if you are really responsible with helping your teams out in the field on the front lines, helping them with thinking through strategically what exactly is going on. So they need concepts of how markets are changing. They also need concepts of how they can use platforms like this in order to counter some of those changes, because we all know who the standard voices are as far as knee-jerk reactions and saying, oh no, the sky's falling. And we all on the mortgage side of things understand this side of the transaction way better. At least we're supposed to. We understand it way better than the realtor side of the transaction. Even if a realtor says, oh, I used to be a loan officer. Well, things have changed since they were a loan officer. It's your obligation to not only educate your client, but also educate those partners that you want to establish deep relationships with, and make sure that they understand that how they talk to their, after you have your debrief, after you have your pre-qualification meeting, and you invest so much time and energy in educating your clients, they need to understand that any message that they deliver to the client, y'all need to be singing from the same hymn book. So I would say that the biggest thing that you can do is have regular coaching sessions with your people. It's kind of back to the three things I was talking about before. Have regular conversations with your folks in the field. And if you see them either not getting a whole lot of views out of the reports that they generate, or if you ask them, when was the last time they logged in to Mortgage Coach, or when was the last time they created a TCA, and they kind of give you a blank stare or are a little sheepish with the response, that's an opportunity for you to step in and say, okay, let's get to this, because this is going to be your meal ticket for the rest of 2022. And you have to be very adamant about and intentional with the coaching that you give them. So I would say that the best thing that you can do is to go into those resources that Dave was just listing out and learn it yourself. And so that you can talk the same language and speak in terms that they are going to get and they're going to understand, and they're going to be a little bit more willing to adopt. Or if you're a producing branch manager, take some of these younger folks with you on these ride-alongs or on these visits, or have them sit in with you on the video calls that you're having with realtors or with clients, and let them hear from your own mouth how it is that you use this tool and these resources and these templates in order to educate your sphere, and it'll catch on. But the key is going to be consistency and consistent messaging of how valuable a tool this is.
Right on. So guys, we're almost at the halfway point. I want to make sure we hit rate shopping and showing interest rate options, Gracie. And then I also want to make sure we show cost of waiting, because there's a lot of folks that are like, oh, should I wait? Is now the time to buy, or should I give it 3 months or 6 months? So let's cover both those tactics and strategies. Remember, audience, by the way, you guys are doing a great job asking questions to the point where we could probably spend the whole call on this one strategy. And I would go through that one strategy, the appraisal gap, and call it the perfect pre-approval. But we have so many videos, and I'm going to, I've already given you breadcrumbs to them where you could just watch this 6-minute video. You can look at this TCA, and in 10 minutes, you could go deeper on it. So I'm not avoiding those questions. I just, I've put breadcrumbs to the content where you can get 10 more minutes of very specific content and get all those appraisal gap questions answered. So Gracie, let's do interest rate options. Mm-hmm. Guys, this is the best practice. I interview a lot of top producing loan officers, America's best loan officers, and many of them are doing exactly what Gracie's going to show you right now. So show us interest rate options and walk us through how you deliver that to a consumer. And then, also talk about how you think it helps you improve your conversion and reduce rate shopping.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen here in a second.
We see it. Oh, real quick, notice, guys, best practice. She's got her team brand, company brand. She's got her picture. It's a digital link. That's what Mortgage Coach has done. We have disrupted the fee worksheet. This is a modern mortgage experience, and that is what Mortgage Coach does. So just so everybody's clear on what you're looking at. Go ahead, Gracie.
Yeah. And I can speak a little bit about just the presentation part. It doesn't matter of your clientele. It could be the young professionals, it could be the executives, or it could be someone that really have never purchased a home before. Everyone who received the mortgage quote presentation, they all love it. So you don't really have to cater towards certain profession to make them feel like they can relate to this presentation. This is really a universal language. So interest rate, they're going to go up. People are going to start shopping around. Last year, I think in the last 2 years, our job has been pretty easy. When you tell people that, hey, 30-year interest rate is going to be under 3%, 3.5%, there's not going to be a lot of shopping around. Now the interest rate starts at 4%, and people are just going to start talking to their friends. And that's why I always use the analogy, when you're in the market buying a vehicle, you start talking about everybody you know who just recently bought a car. So someone could say, I got a lower value. Someone could say that, I didn't pay a lot of closing costs. So we like to provide 100% transparency. This option will give you the ability to show your clients that you are a mortgage professional that can source all the different options. You are their one-stop shop. So how do you prove that? Is by showing them, yes, I can get a very low rate. If you're ever curious on getting 3% rate, I have access to that, but there's a cost to it. And then, so the strategy I use here is when I present rate option, I always, first of all, this is something really small, but I do, and I train my team how to do that. I give people numbered option. You see right here, option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4. Because a lot of time when you're sending this great information to them, they don't know how to get back to you and let you know what option they want. So, and there's also an art of presenting. Option number 1 is always the lowest interest rate. Option number 2, I don't say that's a higher rate, I say that's a great rate. Option number 3, I highlight a benefit. I don't say that's the highest rate, but I would say this is a lower cash to close. So the way how I train my team is you always have to highlight, during our initial pre-approval call, we always ask our client, what is the most important thing to you for buying a house? Is it the lowest interest rate, or is the lowest monthly payment, or is the lowest cash to close? So then we have notes in our system to be able to reference back. The last one is what we started doing this year. I think is a very good practice for anyone that has ability to do this, which is called lock and shop. How do you protect your client? In the way we're talking about how to gain real estate business, how to gain real estate relationship, is be able to protect the client's interest rate for next 90 days. And that has a huge impact on the realtor's source of business, their book of business, their pipeline, their paycheck. Because we know if the interest rate go out from 3.875 to 4.25, that maybe 50% of their pipeline is going to be sitting on the fence again. So our job is not only just to educate our clients, but also put our clients in the best position. So I love how be able to give them all the different options. And when you click on the more info, you'll be able to see the closing cost, right? So it's all about how much points we're going to pay. Maybe the lowest rate, they need to pay 4,500 points. With the lower cash to close, they don't have to pay any points. They will get a lender credit. The 90-day maybe is the middle rate, but they don't pay a lot of points. But the benefit is if the rate continue to go up, that's a rate they are guaranteed for. But if the rate continue to go down, we do offer a one-time flow down. So again, it's an insurance for the buyer's confidence and also insurance for our realtors pipeline.
So couple things, science of selling here. She's giving them options. So people, authorship is ownership. So the consumer is getting options. They're picking the program they want, and they're more likely to be committed to that program. Also, she's showing an uncommon level of transparency. Most loan officers show a fee worksheet with one loan and say, hey, this is it. So there's more transparency. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll notice that not only is she showing the loan details, she's showing the monthly payment graphically. She's also showing the cost over time. If you could go all the way down, and she's showing what it looks like over 60 months, over 15 years. So again, more transparency equals trust. And then she's also showing that she's got extraordinary knowledge, so that she can be respected. And when a consumer trusts you and they respect you, one, they're less likely to rate shop. And two, you're going to be in a better position if you do need to, provide a pricing conception, you're going to be in a better position to keep that. So if you could stop sharing real quick again. And James, anything you want to ask? And then I also know there's some questions that have come in that you've got some answers for, but before you answer the questions that have come in, anything that you want to ask or you want to highlight as in terms of what Gracie just showed us.
Absolutely. One of the things that I think that the audience needs to keep in mind is don't necessarily focus on the numbers that Gracie is showing you. Focus on the strategy, because those numbers are going to change over time. Homes are going to appreciate, rates are going to go up. Closing costs might fluctuate here and there, just depending on what the fee happens to be. Fannie and Freddie might come in with some stellar new announcement that we all have to make an adjustment on. So, listen intently to what she's saying about the strategy of how she goes about educating both the borrower as well as the realtor to make sure that all parties in the transaction fully understand the how changing one variable impacts a dozen others. And because this is all, Gracie's one of the best in here at Thrive. She's one of the best loan officers that we have in terms of being able to help her clients strategize. We've got a lot of loan officers who are really, really good at that. And Gracie's definitely at the top of that big list. So I would just encourage you to look for that. If you've got questions about how, and everybody's representing, we probably have 100 different or so different lenders represented on this call listening in. Everybody's got different ways that they categorize certain costs or certain fees or things along those lines. So just pay attention to the strategy that she's focusing on, and you'll learn a lot. Dave, one of the questions that I saw earlier was about, actually it's in the Q&A, is are templates available? I would love to hear what you guys at Mortgage Coach are doing to support users, because I know if they're a Thrive LO, I know how to answer that question. But I wanted to give you the opportunity to address that, because a lot of what she's doing can be set up in templates that make it super easy for you to recreate this on the fly, regardless of the scenario that you're dealing with.
Yeah, and creating templates for your loan officers, it's about helping them with strategies. So when I do a lot of my keynotes and presentations, I don't think I've given a presentation in the last few years where I did not show this slide that mortgage strategies beat rates. They always do. And loan officers that deliver advice over price beat loan officers that don't. So we've got strategy templates in Mortgage Coach where you could have a appraisal gap strategy template. You could have a cost awaiting strategy template, and something that might have taken the loan officer 5, 10, 15 minutes to create. Now they could do it in a matter of minutes. And then you've got to create program templates and cost, fee worksheet templates. So, and that is something that we're pretty passionate about at Mortgage Coach. When we roll out Mortgage Coach at a company, we set up corporate templates, and then, different branches have different nuances. So setting up branch templates, just think of it this way, anybody in the C-suite, the easier you can make it for your loan officers to adopt technology, and when you can take something that they're doing every day, all day, every day, and you can make it faster and more accurate, that's a good thing. And that's what we try to do. Anything you would add to that, James?
If you work at an organization that has an enterprise account, one of the things that that company can do is they can set up those templates that are kind of the most common or the frequently asked question type of scenarios that you deal with in your realtor and your borrower conversations. They can set that up for you at the admin level and disperse those through everybody's accounts. And then you can take them and modify them from there within your account, however you want. So if you are at a company that has an enterprise account, get with the team that controls it, whether it's the marketing team or sales leadership or whoever it is that is the admin of that account, and talk to them about setting up a template strategy for a lot of those most common questions. That would be my response to those guys. But outside of that, you nailed it.
Yeah, and if you want to learn how to be an enterprise client of Mortgage Coach, Dave at mortgagecoach.com, or private message me on any social media account. So cool. So let's go back to you, Gracie, and let's talk about cost awaiting. That is a big problem in the market. Realtors need help getting people off the fence and into escrow, and they need help getting them to make a winning offer, make the price possible. So you spoke to that a little bit about, your appraisal gap strategy, spoke to that. I noticed you use a rep versus own analysis, so it looked like that was a first-time home buyer. But talk to us about cost awaiting. How do you have that conversation with the client so that they can personalize and localize the decision and do it with data and numbers.
Yeah, do you want to share my screen?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. So I'm the queen of template. I really like to do, that's what I like about mortgage coaches. You don't really have to do things over and over again. It's, you know what the most common scenarios are, and you go in, you set up a whole bunch of templates.
Show us your screen real quick. Show us your, where you, like, this is the consumer experience, but
Okay.
show us a template. How
My strategy templates. Okay, so my strategy template changes all the time. Right now, I have some really hot off the press template. So for example, I'm working on a new construction long-term rate lock template. That is a very popular option. A lot of people are building their home and they're not going to be ready for 9 to 12 months. So we need to be able to present that financial analysis of when to lock and how long we can do it for. The old one, we talked about that different price point comparison, buy now versus buy 6 months. So here's my list of templates, go on and on. And I don't come here and create each template every single time. My job as a branch manager and training new loan officers is I'm able to provide the tool, like you said, it's easy for them to implement. And you also have more of a quality control, all your customer, what they're getting. So I like that part about making sure we're giving them all the options.
Love it. So let's do the cost of waiting. And Jonathan, who just posted a question about pricing 90 and 120 days out. I think you're going to like this. And I might put a little color on it because I just interviewed Jeremy Forcier, who did, over a couple $100 million last year. And he talked about how he addressed this. But Gracie, let's show us what you got on a cost of waiting.
Yeah, so my cost of waiting right now, because we're dealing with, I would say like our book of business, 25-30% of first-time home buyers, but we also do have a lot of move-up buyers. If we have time, to tap into that as well, I think that's a great way to generate new realtor relationship and business. But when we do cost of waiting, I want to focus on giving options for under a minimum 5% down payment versus FHA loan. So we show what the current rate could be under the conventional loan or under FHA loan. Of course, we got to be more mindful of, if you're in a county that you need to make sure you're under the FHA limit. Wait a second. This is not. Let me go right here. This is my, sorry, I was showing the wrong presentation. Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay.
So yeah, this way, I was paying very close attention to the purchase price. We are in Dallas County and our conforming limit is $647,250 versus here, our FHA limit is a little under $450,000. So I want to make sure my purchase price template or the purchase price matches with my FHA. So now I have the first two options, which is the current interest rate. And like James said, the interest, don't worry about interest rate and closing costs because that changes all the time. But I do pay attention to normally the government rate is going to be lower than the conforming rate. And then versus I put the last two options, number 3 and number 4. Again, I label every single one of them. So when I have a conversation with the buyer, I can easily reference, can you go to option number 4? This is what I prepare for you. So if we continue in the rate rising environment, it wouldn't be a surprise to us that 5% down payment conforming is going to get to 4.5 here pretty quickly. And then FHA might be a little bit lower, so I set to be 4.375. What I like about this is you're able to see the monthly payment jump. Like David was mentioned earlier, this presentation is not only giving you this very, overview of the monthly payment and interest rate. What's more educational is the net monthly payment. If someone is paying $2,500 of rent and they're looking to buy a $500,000 property, now they don't have to pay much more. They're paying additional $250 more per month. If they were to wait for 6 months, the same house could cost them additional $500 from their rent. And to a lot of people, that's a big chunk of change. And I like to include the rent versus own right? Because that number is just so huge. If that doesn't move anyone or it doesn't motivate anyone, I really don't know what will. I personally, there's no way I would spend $165,000 in rent just in 5 years. So that's absolutely crazy. I love showing this and I love to educate my realtor. And every time I show this presentation, the realtor said, oh my gosh, can you please send this to my buyer? Because that's what they need to see. It doesn't matter how good they are with building relationship, because I think at the end of the day, to really change people's mindset, they need to see the numbers and they need to see how much they're losing every single day.
Love it. So stop sharing your screen. I want to go through this and then also just share a few what I think are best practices as we want to win this year. We want to prepare our loan officers to crush it. So this is another top producing loan officer. He calls it the where we were, where we are, and where are we going. And he actually went through this total cost analysis about a month and a half ago, and he showed rates where they were. So this time last year, where they are, and then where they're going. Now, I just interviewed Jeremy today, and he said that loan I closed, it was actually on the high side, but because he had set expectations with the client, kind of showed them where they were last year, where they are today, where they're going. Now that rates went up a point, it wasn't as difficult. Like if you listen to that interview for today, where it was Jeremy Forcier's, cost of waiting analysis, he closed that deal. He did not get rate shopped. That consumer did not have the same chest pain because he set the expectation. And this is a conversation that if you want to win with realtors, you want to get a lot of referrals from realtors, you need to be able to have this conversation. And you need to be able to do lunch and learns with this. So I also, James opened up talking about cash out refis, and I interviewed Shayla Gifford. Again, runs a team that does over 200 million in volume, has institutionalized advice with a region that does over $1.5 billion. And when I asked her, Shayla, what are the top 4 strategies to win with realtors right now? 3 of them were very realtor centric. Cost of waiting was one of them. But you know what she started with? She started with refis, like knowing your database. Like you guys got to know your database, and then you got to know more than just the consumers. You got to have the data. It's one reason why I'm wearing the sales boomerang shirt. Is when you can know who the consumer is, whether they're likely to be a move-up buyer, a cash-out buyer, getting ready to buy another home, they just listed their home. You need to be able to get that data, and then you need to be able to create presentations. That's one thing that Mortgage Coach does. And with our integration with Sales Boomerang, it's, we've got an insight on a consumer's, are they likely to do a loan? And now we can put a total cost. You can put that, just the machine creates the TCA for the loan officer. And again, you can even have prescriptive scenarios. So actual scenarios created so that when you look at the lifetime of the loan, like if you want to win with realtors today, number one priority is be a client for life loan officer. Like be able to bring referrals back to those clients. One thing that won, while interest rates haven't won this year, equity won last year. So there's a lot of move up buyers that don't realize that they could move up and actually have a lower monthly payment. They could buy the new home non-contingent. Not everybody qualifies for that, but some people do. And then they could sell that home and take the equity, buy down the loan, and actually recast their payment and have a lower payment. So you got to be that client for life loan officer. So guys, we are at 12 minutes into this. If anyone has a burning question that you want to make sure we get, even if we missed it earlier, repost it. I do want to make sure that we get questions answered. James, let's talk about taking action. Like we've shared 3 great strategies. I want you to share, like you shared some how to adopt technology earlier, but let's just focus on prep for spring home buying season. And I do want to go beyond just Mortgage Coach. Well, this is a Mortgage Coach deal. I want to just give us 3 to 5 best practices that everybody can do to prepare for spring home buying season. Then I'll have you do that, Gracie, and then I'll close it out with a play, some resources and some ideas for anyone on this call.
Absolutely. Well, that's a pretty timely question to team you up with, Dave, because Norberto just popped into the end of the chat. How do you show this information to agents and clients? Are they done through Zoom meetings? Gracie, I know that you've got a solution for that. From my perspective, one of the things that I've coached a lot of people on doing is to one, if face-to-face is, in my opinion, face-to-face is always going to be best. Face-to-face is always going to trump digital, but in this day and age, that might not necessarily be feasible. Also, there's the whole time and efficiency of driving across town to go to meeting after meeting. One of the things that you can do is multiply yourself, leverage the technology that you have available. If you've got a webcam, if you've got a camera like the one I'm using, if you've got a smartphone, then you can do this. And basically what you want to do is come up with some ideas for the various different scenarios that you run through most frequently, and do recorded videos of that. Post them on Facebook, start a YouTube channel, put them into your CRM and send them out that way. But basically make them generic enough that you can cover a wide range of scenarios. Do a series of like 5 or 6 of them covering, like I said, all those most frequently asked questions, and add that into the content that you are putting out both on social media as well as through your CRM. When it comes to dealing with a specific agent or with a specific client, and let's talk in the context of agents now. Let's say that you go to get invited to do a presentation to a real estate brokerage. Do not take with you a PowerPoint that talks about how you can do FHA, VA, conventional, and USDA. I guarantee you that they have heard that from every single lender who's ever stood in front of them before. So if you want to differentiate yourself, take a couple of TCAs like what Gracie just teed up and show them that. Talk to them about strategy. Talk to them about how they can leverage this same information, how they can leverage you, and you become the rock star lender that they don't want to go to anybody else. So those would be my biggest suggestions. Leverage the power of video and create video content that allows you to do this kind of screen sharing. If you want an example of a practical solution that does that, if you just search Google or get onto Google and search for screen sharing applications, a dozen of them will pop up. My personal favorite is a platform called StreamYard. And so just Google StreamYard, you'll find it. But find whatever resource works best for you and get more engaged in video, get more engaged in doing video chats, and create yourself a library of content that you can share over and over and over with any number of people while you're building relationships with them.
So I want to show something. I'm not going to play this whole 5-minute video, but I want to show you guys something that you could do with Zoom. So pretend that this was a company meeting that you were doing. And there was a mortgage coach video from our YouTube channel, like this one from Denise Donahue, and you wanted to play it at a sales meeting. So watch this, guys. I'm going to start playing this and check out the quality. I'm going to play about a minute or two. By the way, this is a video. It's only 5 minutes. Everybody should watch it. And this is how to blow the minds of realtors at a meeting, where you take the ideas that you've learned from Gracie and then you execute at a real estate meeting. So check this out, everybody.
Are you ready to blow the mind of a group of real estate agents so that you can gain more partners? I'm going to share this super easy trick that we probably do all day, every day, but it's how to leverage your total cost analysis in a way that gets you more realtor partners that weren't using you before. So listen up. One of the things I did at the start of this year was I put together a Realtor Mastermind. So I sent an email out to all the real estate agents and I said, hey, I'm hosting a real estate mastermind. I'm going to be sharing strategies with you that are going to help you and your clients get offers accepted. Because in this last market, holy smokes, getting offers accepted was the hard part. So as a loan officer, I thought to myself, how could I be a valuable partner to help them with it? So I got all of them together and I shared these 3 total cost analysis. And all I did, folks, nothing fancy. I know that sometimes my money can seem fancy. That's the nerd in me, but techie stuff, not so great. I printed out on a sheet of paper these total costs.
Sorry about that, everybody. So guys, I'm not going to play that because I want you guys to go play it. I put a link in chat. But also, when it comes to taking action, start using the power of Zoom. You notice how I leveraged all of your speakers. I used a video and a combination of, we've got a live loan officer, we've got a C-suite executive, we've got a video, guys, we got to train. The mortgage industry is notorious for not doing a good job of training their loan officers. And I believe that it's never been more important. You know, we've got to train on how to reduce rate shopping and win, because every basis point matters. We've got to train on how to optimize conversion, because every lead matters. We got to train on how to help realtors get move-up buyers, because every listing matters. You know, everything, you know, everybody on this call, you probably have tech stacks ranging from average to good to great, but they become great when loan officers use those tech stacks. And when everybody that's got your uniform on, whatever your brand is, whatever your company is, they've got a thrive way of doing things. So use your technology to do that. We got 5 minutes left. You know, Gracie, you've got probably more mortgage executives on this webinar than you would typically have. You know, what do you think companies can do to better support loan officers like you and branch managers like you? It could be things that you're already doing, but what are the things that are going to help you win more realtor referrals in today's market?
Well, I think Thrive has done an amazing job. And I'll just give some examples that what we're doing, I think is very relatable to a lot of other mortgage companies. In this market, we know that there's low inventory, there's higher interest rate. So we got to be able to really be the problem solver in a way that I think there's a lot of areas in the demographic or situations that maybe those clients weren't able to qualify for a mortgage before. And now is our chance to actually go in and capture that market share. Yes, everyone should always be focusing on the conventional FHA, VA, USDA, but there is another 50% of population, I would say, that everyone went through some tough time in the last 2 years with COVID, with mortgage forbearance, with not knowing how to put money on the side and continue to save money for down payment. So that's what we're passionate about, is more of the overall financial education of how to help people to either move out of their current situation, better themselves, and start utilizing real estate to build wealth. So I say anything that creative with loan options. So one of the things that we do here at Thrive, which I think is very clever, we didn't get a chance to talk about this in our presentation, but we actually came out with a program, for example, it's called Home to Home. It's a two-step offering. We know in this market, unless you can help someone to buy into a new home, you're not going to get that listing. So that's why I think that every real estate agent should be a buyer's agent in this market, because that's your number one job, is how do you find a house for your client so you can come back to be their listing agent on the current house. And that will simply double the realtor business, because we're just on the call talking about how to work with realtors and how to help them to build their business. So our Home to Home is a great offering. You know, we help the buyer to purchase a new home, 100% financing. They don't have to put any down payment. And it's a very straightforward, easy step for us to do a non-contingency offer, so they don't have to sell their current house. And once we help them to move into a new house and they come back and sell their house with the same agent that helped them to purchase a new house. And that's a very sexy program for loan officers, for people in the production, because we get excited for, we want to walk into the room and offer something that no one else can offer. I think that's just look at your pipeline, look at your area. What is the problem that you're dealing with here? Maybe you have certain businesses that they're going to be relocating a ton of people from different states to your state, your area. Maybe focus on that. So that would be my recommendation.
Love it. So guys, I'm just going to give 30 seconds and then we're going to wrap it up. You know, someone asked early on, you know, how to, you know, get a fast track with Mortgage Coach. So on our website, resources, on-demand training is amazing. Like if you're new, we've got a step-by-step tutorial. whatever technology stack you guys have, all the executives on this, you got to spoon feed loan officers. You got to give them both technology training, and then you got to give them strategy training, where, hey, let them hear from other loan officers around tactics and strategies. And then, you know what you need, guys, you need daily training. That's why at Mortgage Coach, we train every day of the week. Sometimes it's sales training. Every day of the week, we do tactical training. But whether it's your CRM, whether it's your point of sale, whether it's, how to use sales boomerang, you got to do more training. And hopefully you guys got some ideas, you got some value. We gave you a lot of links. Pick the one or two that make the most sense to you. And, TMC, you guys are amazing at educating the industry. I'm super grateful for this stage. And I know the Thrive team really appreciates everything you do. Make sure you check out the TMC calendar. We've also got an upcoming event. We'll put links to those both in the recording and down below so that, future TMC events, about them.
Excellent. Thank you guys so much. Wow, what a conversation. That was hot and heavy and fast and furious, and excellent information was shared by all. So thank you, Gracie. Thank you, James. Thank you, Dave. Very much for bringing such great content to TMC Connect. Like Dave said, check out TMC Connect, our calendar. We've got lots of great sessions. There will be a follow-up email that goes out tomorrow with a link to this recording. So please feel free to check it out then. And thank you guys again so much for your time today. Really appreciate your lender partnership, Thrive, and your preferred partnership, Mortgage Coach. Thank you again. Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks
Thanks for the
everybody
invite.
for your time.
Bye.